I'm David Miller, 45 years old, a lead engineer at a tech company in Seattle's South Lake Union. Since my daughter Emily was little, we've been an inseparable duo. I still remember the days we shared dreams. From her wanting to be a designer to the little secrets only we father and daughter knew. When Emily got engaged to Ryan Carter, I was thrilled to take a central role in planning her wedding at the Fairmont Hotel. I poured thousands of dollars into this special day, $3,000 for a top-tier photographer, $10,000 for a lavish Hawaii honeymoon with business-class flights in an oceanfront villa. I spent hours picking out navy blue tones, designing personalized wine bottle guest favors, and planning every detail to ensure perfection. I put my whole heart into creating a wedding Emily would cherish forever. But I never imagined that my family, where I placed all my trust, would become the source of my deepest pain. Things got complicated when my wife, Claire, started taking control. My wife of 20 years, Claire always had a way of making things revolve around her. I never expected that one day, she'd look me in the eye and say words like a razor-sharp blade. We all agreed, "You're not welcome at the wedding." Those words spoken one evening at our Seattle home shattered my world. Emily, my daughter, sat there, silent, head bowed, as if convinced I was the cause of all the stress in her wedding. In that moment, I felt every effort, every ounce of love I'd given her for 24 years, erased by a single sentence.
Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest video.
If you're reading or watching this story somewhere, maybe grappling with family drama or the sting of betrayal by loved ones, please leave a comment below. Like and subscribe. My story might give you the strength to face similar challenges. This isn't just a tale of pain. It's a journey to reclaim self-worth amid manipulation and hurt. I'll tell you what happened. From the days I thought I was the perfect dad to the moment my family turned their backs on me. And how I rose from the ashes of betrayal. Join me through this story because it might be the light you need in your darkest days. Being Emily's father wasn't just a point of pride. It was the guiding star for every decision in my life. From the moment she was born, I saw myself in her bright eyes, and I vowed to do everything to give her a good life. Growing up in Seattle, Emily and I shared unforgettable memories. I taught her to ride a bike at Discovery Park, held her hand through her first days of school, and spent hours listening to her talk about her dream of becoming a fashion designer. Those moments, however simple, were my treasures. As Emily entered her teens, I became her guide, helping her navigate friend drama, and supporting her college applications to art school. I was always the rock she could turn to, day or night. But family is never simple, especially with Claire, my wife, who always wanted things her way. Claire and I met in college, and our early marriage was filled with love. She had a captivating smile, and a decisiveness I admired. But over time, I realized Claire didn't like sharing the spotlight, especially when it shone on my bond with Emily. Claire always favored herself, craving praise for what she did for the family, while I, quietly handling every issue, was seen as emotionless or too practical. My father, John Miller, a kind but conflict-averse man, often stayed silent to keep the peace. He stood on the sidelines, letting Claire steer everything from family dinners to big decisions. My mother, Margaret, didn't intervene much either, occasionally urging me to keep the peace for family harmony. As a father, I became the family's default problem solver. When my parents' roof in suburban Seattle leaked, I called the repairman and paid the bill. When bills piled up, I quietly dipped into savings to cover them, never complaining. I did it all for family, but especially for Emily. When she chose to study design at a prestigious university, the tuition was beyond Claire's or my parents' means. I worked overtime, cut personal expenses, and ensured Emily could chase her dreams without worry. I never saw it as a burden. My joy was seeing her smile when she got her diploma. My career mirrored this role. As a lead engineer, I managed multi-million-dollar projects at the company. But at home, I was still the one fixing Claire's car or helping Emily pick a computer for school. I didn't mind. It was how I showed love. But sometimes, I wondered if Claire truly valued what I did. She'd say things like, "You're always busy with work," or "Emily needs her mom more than her dad." I thought they were offhand remarks, but looking back, I see they were the first signs of Claire's jealousy over my bond with Emily. When Emily met Ryan Carter at an art exhibit in Pike Place Market 3 years ago, I knew they were meant for each other. Ryan was a humble guy from a well-off but unflashy family. He valued Emily's design talent and supported her dreams. When they got engaged after 2 years of dating, I was the first person Emily called, her voice radiant over the phone. "Dad, Ryan proposed. You'll walk me down the aisle, right? I can't do this without you." I smiled, my heart bursting with joy. "Of course, sweetheart. I'll do everything to make your wedding perfect." Right then, I envisioned the wedding at the Fairmont Hotel, Emily in a stunning gown, and me, the proud father, walking her down the aisle. But I didn't know that. From the start, Claire had other plans. She didn't just want to control the wedding. She wanted to push me out of the family picture I'd spent a lifetime building. Small signs, like how Claire made wedding decisions without asking me or pulled her friend Sarah Evans into planning sessions, I overlooked, thinking it was just her enthusiasm. I was wrong. Claire's manipulation, like a silent storm, was quietly brewing. And I, a father who always believed in family love, was utterly unprepared for what was coming. But that's the story I'll tell next. About how I faced betrayal and found myself amid the shards of a broken heart. The first few months after Emily's engagement were a time brimming with joy. Emily and I spent weekends preparing for the wedding. From driving through Seattle's rainy streets, to check venues, to sitting together at her favorite cafe in Pike Place Market, discussing colors and decor ideas. We chose the Fairmont Hotel for its elegant outdoor space, perfect for a summer wedding. I meticulously noted Emily's every wish, from the navy blue tones she loved to the idea of personalized wine bottles as guest favors. My apartment soon overflowed with wedding magazines, fabric samples, and Pinterest boards we created together. I spent $3,000 on a deposit for a top photographer Emily adored, $1,500 for an acoustic band to set a romantic vibe, and was planning a lavish Hawaii honeymoon, costing $10,000, including business class flights and an oceanfront villa. Every detail was carefully considered, because I wanted Emily's wedding to be not just an event, but a memory she'd cherish forever. But the first sign of trouble came at a family dinner I thought was just for discussing the wedding budget. Claire arrived with a leather-bound wedding planner I'd never seen before. Before we even touched the salad, she announced, "I've put a deposit down for the Fairmont Hotel." They only had one summer slot left, so I booked it. Emily looked surprised, but pleased. "Mom, that's amazing." But Dad and I were still comparing other venues. Claire smiled, placing her hand on Emily's, but her glance at me felt like a challenge. "Sweetie, the Fairmont's booked solid for a year. We're lucky they had a cancellation. I've always dreamed of your wedding there." I swallowed my discomfort, telling myself Claire was just excited. But that was the first time I felt sidelined. From then on, Claire slowly became the wedding's sole controller. Vendors I'd researched, like a renowned local Seattle bakery, were dismissed in favor of choices by her friend, Sarah Evans. The navy blue tones Emily and I picked were suddenly too dreary. By Claire, who switched to metallic gold without consulting us. Emily, ever easygoing, just shrugged when I voiced concern. "Mom's really happy, Dad. Plus she and Sarah are making things easier. Mom's contributing a lot financially too." I bit my lip, staying silent, but the sense of being stripped of my role crept in. I kept trying to help, like spending $800 on welcome gift baskets for out-of-town guests, but each contribution seemed to annoy Claire more. The feeling of exclusion grew sharper when Sarah started appearing in wedding photos on social media. Sarah, Claire's best friend, always found ways to insert herself into family events to assert her place. Now she was at every vendor meeting I wasn't invited to. In one Instagram post, I saw Sarah holding fabric samples against bridesmaid dresses, a task I thought would be mine as the father walking Emily down the aisle. I tried talking to my best friend, Tom Reed, one evening at a brewery near the office. "Seems like Emily's closer to Sarah these days," I said, scrolling through another photo of them at a cake tasting. Tom, always rational, suggested, "Maybe Sarah's just got more free time. You're swamped with that company project." I nodded, trying to brush off the unease, convincing myself that my 24-year bond with Emily couldn't be shaken by a few weeks of planning. But by spring, Invitations to wedding events stopped coming altogether. When I called Emily to check in, her responses were short and rushed. Mom's handling it, Dad, or it's all done. The detailed discussions about flowers or ceremony music we once loved were now curt texts. I still quietly paid for things, like a $2,000 deposit for a videographer Emily loved, but Claire deemed too pricey. I also secretly prepared a special wedding gift, the Hawaii honeymoon, with extras like a private cooking class and a sunset cruise, adding $600. I reassured myself that things would normalize after the wedding, that Emily and I would laugh about Claire's control in her new Seattle apartment. But I was wrong. A colleague, Anna Lee, casually asked during a lunch break at the office, "How'd Emily's dress shopping go?" My friend at the bridal shop said she found the perfect gown right away. I froze, coffee cup midair. "What dress shopping?" Anna faltered. "Oh, at Elegant Bridal." My friend said Claire, Emily and Sarah were there all afternoon, sipping champagne and picking a dress. I thought you knew. I called Emily that night, trying to keep my voice steady. "How was the dress shopping, kiddo?" A pause. "Oh, it happened so fast, Dad." Mom booked it as a quick look, but we ended up choosing. Sarah was free, so she came along. I took a deep breath. I could have made time, Aim. You just had to tell me. Emily sighed. "Don't make a big deal, Dad. There's still plenty of wedding stuff you can do." But that other wedding stuff never came. The bachelorette party, the bridal shower, everything was planned by Claire and Sarah without me. I still quietly paid, like $1,200 for the bridal shower venue. But it felt like I was just a wallet, nothing more. The gap between me and Emily grew, and I began to wonder if Claire was deliberately pushing me out of my daughter's life. One evening, at a family gathering at my parents' house in suburban Seattle, I overheard a conversation that made my blood run cold. I stepped into the kitchen to grab some water when Claire's voice rang out from the dining room next door. "David's always so difficult, always wanting to control everything. Emily's finally seeing it now." Sarah chimed in, her tone feigning sympathy. "It's so hard for Emily, especially during the wedding, when she should be the center of attention." Claire continued, "That's why we had to reduce his role, for Emily's sake." I stood frozen, water spilling over the edge of my glass without me noticing. My wife, the woman I'd lived with for 20 years, was slandering me, painting me as a selfish control freak, just to justify cutting me out of our daughter's wedding. That night, I poured everything out to Tom Reed, my best friend, at a brewery in Capitol Hill. My voice trembled. What if they don't want me at the wedding anymore? What if Claire's convinced Emily I'm the problem? Tom gripped my shoulder, his voice firm. "You're Emily's dad. No one can erase that, but you need to talk to her straight. No more letting Claire get in the way." He was right. I couldn't keep hoping things would magically fix themselves. I texted Emily the next morning. "Dad needs to talk about the wedding and our relationship. Can we meet at the house Thursday, 7 p.m.? She replied hours later. "I'm super busy, but okay, Thursday at Mom and Dad's." Those 5 days of waiting felt like a century. I mentally rehearsed what I'd say, trying to keep my tone calm so as not to hurt Emily. I hoped an honest conversation would bring us back to how things used to be. Thursday evening, I drove to our house in Seattle, my heart heavy but still hopeful. The night air was eerily quiet, the yellow glow from the house casting a deceptive welcome. I checked myself in the car mirror, smoothed my shirt, and took a deep breath before heading to the door. Claire opened it before I could ring the bell, her eyes cold, devoid of warmth. "Everyone's in the living room," she said curtly, turning away without waiting for me. Stepping inside, I sensed an ambush. My father, John, sat in his usual armchair, looking tired and pale. Emily perched on the edge of the sofa, eyes down, hands twisted tightly together. Claire stood behind her, one hand on the back of the chair, as if shielding Emily from me, and in the spot usually reserved for me during family meetings. Sarah sat, her gaze a mix of smugness and feigned concern. "What's going on?" I asked, still standing, as no one offered me a seat. "Emily," I thought we were talking about the wedding. Claire cut in before Emily could speak. We need to discuss your role in the wedding, David. It's become an issue. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. An issue, I repeated, looking straight at Emily, hoping she'd say something. Claire pressed on, her tone icy. Your controlling nature, the way you always want things your way. It's stressing Emily out. We all agreed. You're not welcome at the wedding. Not walking her down the aisle. Not as a guest. Nothing. The air in the room turned thick. I heard the wall clock ticking, as if counting the seconds of betrayal. Emily didn't look up, didn't say a word, as if convinced I was the troublemaker. Sarah gave a faint smile, while my father just shook his head, avoiding my gaze. Since when was this decided? I asked, my voice shaking but trying to stay calm. Claire answered, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. For months now, Emily chose Sarah as her main support. We're just making it official today. I turned to Sarah, who now looked at me with defiance. Congratulations, I said, my voice flat. Emily, I called. One last try. Is this what you want? Claire jumped in. Emily wants a drama-free wedding. You're always controlling, always judging. The venue's not good enough. The vendors don't meet your standards. That's not true, I interrupted, my calm starting to crack. I supported every decision, even when I wasn't asked for input. This was a plan, carefully orchestrated, to cut me out of Emily's life. I understand, I said, my voice eerily calm. I turned, walked to the door, each step heavy as if carrying my shattered heart. Behind me, I heard Emily call my name, faintly, but no footsteps followed. No one stopped me. I drove home, street lights blurring through tears, and for the first time in my life, I felt utterly alone. The pain from that evening was like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. Claire's words, we all agreed, you're not welcome at the wedding, echoed in my mind, each syllable a stab. Emily, my daughter, whom I'd spent a lifetime, loving and protecting, sat silent, letting her mother erase me from her big day. When I got home, Tom Reed, my best friend, was waiting. One look at me, and he knew everything had fallen apart. What happened? He asked. I recounted it all in fragmented emotions. Claire's coldness, Emily's silence, Sarah's smug grin, my father's avoidance. They can't do this, Tom said, his voice full of outrage. You're Emily's dad. You've done everything for her. But I only whispered, it doesn't seem to matter anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, eyes wide open, replaying the living room scene, searching for any sign I'd misunderstood. But Claire's satisfied look as she spoke was too clear, leaving no room for doubt. At 4 a.m., I gave up, sitting at the kitchen table with a cold cup of tea. I started listing everything I'd contributed to Emily's wedding. $3,000 for the photographer, $1,500 for the acoustic band, $800 for guest welcome baskets, $2,000 for the videographer, and the Hawaii honeymoon, $10,000 for flights, and a villa, plus $600 for special experiences like a cooking class and sunset cruise. Over $17,000 in total, all for a wedding I was now barred from attending. As dawn broke, I made a decision. I opened my laptop, accessed my banking app, and transferred the $10,600 for the honeymoon back to my personal account. I logged into the airline and resort websites, methodically canceling each booking. I sent a brief email to the travel agent, explaining plans have changed. My phone had been buzzing all night, and now I checked 3 calls from Emily, 15 from Claire, even one from my father, which was rare. Claire's messages swung from defensive, "You're making this all about you," to accusatory, "After everything I've done for this family," no hint of remorse. I called the credit card company, reporting some unauthorized transactions by Claire, like $500 for decorations she charged to my card without permission. Not entirely true, but not entirely false either. That morning I emailed my boss, requesting a personal day, and turned off my phone. The sudden silence was both terrifying and liberating. Around noon, I met Anna Lee, a close colleague, at a diner in Pike Place Market. I didn't plan to spill everything, but one look, and she knew something was wrong. What did they do to you? She exclaimed. When I finished, her voice loud enough to turn heads at nearby tables. Your wife said that to your face. I nodded, pushing my salad around without eating. Anna grabbed my hand. David, there's something you need to know. I didn't say earlier, because I didn't want to hurt you, but you need to hear this now. Anna revealed that for months, Claire had been bad-mouthing me to everyone. Anna shook her head. I don't know why, but Claire's been planting seeds of doubt everywhere. Enough to make people think you're unapproachable, unstable. I tried to push back whenever I heard it, but I wasn't there for every conversation. Claire's words echoed in my mind. Your controlling nature, the way you always want things your way. She wasn't just driving a wedge between me and Emily. She was undermining my reputation with everyone we knew. I went home, feeling both heartbroken and clear-headed. The pieces started falling into place, revealing a picture of manipulation I'd ignored for too long. The times Claire forgot to invite me to family events, the backhanded compliments about my career. You do well though you're always busy. All part of her plan. I called my Aunt Laura, who always had a sharp eye for family dynamics. David, are you okay? She asked as soon as I picked up. I told her everything, and she sighed. Claire did this because you threaten her. You're independent, successful, and have a bond with Emily. She needs control to feel significant. Laura revealed Claire had done something similar to her, cutting her out of a big family party a decade ago by spreading rumors that she was causing drama. But you can't let this go on, she said. Talk to Emily and clear things up. I was mulling over Laura's advice when my phone buzzed. Ryan Carter, Emily's fiancé. David, thank God you answered, he said, voice frantic. Everything's a mess. Emily's been crying for hours. We found out what Claire did. I kept my tone neutral. What's that, Ryan? He explained they got a cancellation notice for the honeymoon, which Emily didn't know about since I'd kept it a surprise gift. When confronted, Claire claimed I canceled it out of anger, after being rightfully excluded from the wedding. But it didn't add up for Emily. Why would Dad spend tens of thousands on a honeymoon if he didn't care? She asked Ryan. They checked Emily's phone and found Claire had faked messages from me, like one canceling the dress shopping, and rerouted some of my real texts to her own phone. Claire even set up a fake contact with her number. But your name, Ryan said. Emily thought she was texting you, but it was Claire. I was stunned by the level of manipulation. Where's Emily? Why isn't she talking to me? Ryan hesitated. She's scared you won't forgive her. And last night, Claire came to our apartment, screaming about us betraying her. It got so bad the neighbors called security. I took a deep breath. I need time, Ryan. This is a lot, he pleaded. Don't shut this door, David. Emily loves you. She was manipulated too. I didn't promise anything, just said I'd reach out soon. Hanging up, I knew that last night's confrontation wasn't the end, but the start of a painful but necessary journey to reclaim the truth and myself. After Ryan's call, I knew I couldn't let Claire's manipulation keep tearing our family apart. I reached out to Aunt Laura, who'd been manipulated by Claire before, and she agreed to let me use her house in suburban Seattle for a meeting. I invited Emily, Ryan, my father John, my mother Margaret, and even Claire, though I knew she wouldn't go down easily. I told Claire it was a discussion about the wedding budget to ensure she'd show up. The days before the meeting, I prepared meticulously. I printed out evidence, fake texts Claire sent from my number, making Emily think I didn't care about the wedding. Confirmation emails from the photographer, videographer, and Hawaii resort, proving I'd spent over $17,000, and bank receipts detailing every contribution from $3,000 for the photographer to $10,600 for the honeymoon. I also documented Annalee's account of Claire badmouthing me at parties, and Laura's story of being excluded by Claire from a family event. Each piece of evidence was a brick in the wall of truth, and I was determined to lay it before the family. That evening, I arrived at Aunt Laura's early, arranging the documents on the coffee table in her living room. Seattle's air was damp, the scent of rain drifting through an open window. Emily and Ryan arrived first, Emily looking smaller than usual, her eyes red from crying. She grabbed my hand, whispering, "Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I nodded, not yet ready to respond, but her touch warmed my heart. John and Margaret came next, my father looking weary, my mother anxiously glancing around. Claire arrived last, striding in with confidence, but her eyes wavered when she saw everyone gathered and the documents on the table. "What is this?" she asked, her voice sharp, her gaze slicing through me like a warning. "A chance to tell the truth," I replied, my voice steady. I began presenting, step by step, like an engineer solving a complex problem. I pointed to the fake texts, showing how Claire had created a false contact with my name to deceive Emily. I presented receipts, listing the $17,000 I had spent, and confirmation emails from vendors, proving I had never canceled or complained about the wedding. I recounted Annalie's words about how Claire spread rumors that I was unstable and controlling, and Aunt Laura's story of being excluded by Claire from a family event a decade ago. "This isn't a misunderstanding," I said, looking straight at Claire. "This is deliberate manipulation, and it has destroyed my relationship with Emily." Emily burst into tears, standing up to hug me. "Dad, I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I thought you didn't want to be involved. Mom showed me those texts, saying you were busy, that you didn't care. I didn't know they were fake." Ryan held her hand, nodding at me, his eyes full of empathy. My father, John, finally spoke, his voice hoarse. "I knew Claire was controlling, but I didn't think it went this far. I've been silent too long, David. I'm sorry." My mother, Margaret, placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes glistening, but she said nothing. Claire, initially silent, suddenly stood up. "This is a conspiracy against me," she shouted, pointing at me. "You always want to play the hero, David, making me the villain. I just wanted Emily's wedding to be perfect." But as I laid out each piece of evidence, from fake texts to phone logs, her voice weakened. She shifted to anger. "If you weren't so controlling, I wouldn't have had to do this." Finally, unable to deny it, she sat down, her voice trembling. "I just wanted to protect Emily from stress. I thought you'd mess everything up." No apology, just justification. But it was the first time she admitted her actions. Emily turned to her mother, her voice firm. "Mom, I want Dad to walk me down the aisle, like I always wanted. If you can't accept and respect him, you'll just be a guest, not involved in planning anything." Claire was stunned, looking to my father for support. But this time, John didn't look away. "Claire, enough," he said, his voice low but resolute. "Look at what you've done. This has to stop." My father's words, though late, were like a gust clearing the fog of years of silence. Emily held my hand, her eyes full of regret, but also brimming with love. "I need you, Dad," she said. I nodded, feeling a part of my heart begin to heal. Aunt Laura patted my shoulder, whispering, "You did the right thing, David." As I left her house, Seattle's sky was still drizzling, but I felt lighter, as if the burden of betrayal had been lifted. I knew the road ahead was still long, but for the first time, I believed we were on the right path, toward truth and a healthier family. After the family meeting at Aunt Laura's, our family entered a fragile but hopeful new normal. Claire, though reluctantly, agreed to new boundaries. She could attend Emily's wedding, but no longer had control over decisions or direct contact with vendors. If she violated this, she'd be just a regular guest, with no role in the ceremony. This change wasn't easy. Emily and I started rebuilding our relationship day by day. We met at Pike Place Market on weekends, sipping coffee and talking about the months we'd lost. "I thought Mom was telling the truth," she confessed, eyes welling up. "I never wanted to hurt you, Dad." I held her hand, my heart easing. "We're here now, Em. That's what matters." I reinstated a simpler version of the Hawaii honeymoon, still generous with flights and a villa, but no longer a financial burden. "This is my gift to you and Ryan. No strings attached," I said as I handed her the itinerary. And Emily's smile was my greatest reward. Emily's wedding day arrived, a rare radiant summer day in Seattle, the sky clear and cloudless. The Fairmont Hotel was adorned with white and navy blue flowers, just as Emily and I had originally envisioned. That morning I went to her prep room, my heart pounding, as I saw Emily in her white silk wedding gown, her hair pinned up with a pearl clip. I stood still, recalling the little girl who played in a princess dress in our backyard. "How do I look, Dad?" she asked, twirling in front of the mirror. I smiled, my voice catching, "You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen." A pang of sadness hit as I remembered I wasn't there when she chose this dress, but I pushed it aside. Emily took my hand. "I wish I could erase the past few months, Dad." I shook my head, surprising myself. "I don't," as painful as it was. It brought the truth to light. "We're stronger now." I handed Emily to Ryan, whispering, "Take care of her," and he nodded, eyes shining with emotion. As they exchanged vows, I stood nearby, my heart full of joy, mixed with sorrow for what was lost. The reception was lively, with a cocktail hour, and the father-daughter dance, a moment Emily and I had dreamed of for years. As the music played, I took her hand, leading her to the dance floor. "Thank you for not giving up on me," she whispered, her head resting on my shoulder. I just squeezed her hand, no words needed. Claire maintained a polite demeanor throughout the reception, mingling with guests like a perfect mother, but she avoided me, keeping exchanges to minimal courtesies. Claire approached unexpectedly. "The wine bottle favors are really nice," she said, her voice low, eyes not meeting mine. "Your idea, right?" I nodded, and she continued, her voice slightly shaky. "You're always good at noticing what others love, what matters to them. I don't have that gift." That small admission from Claire stunned me. She paused, as if wrestling with herself, then went on. "The therapist Laura recommended says I need to learn to value others without feeling overshadowed. I've got a lot of work to do." I was surprised. "You're in therapy?" She nodded, looking away. "John insisted, after everything. I don't expect this to fix things between us, David. I know it'll take time, if it's even possible, but I'm trying." I nodded, saying nothing, and she walked away, blending into the crowd of guests. That brief moment was a sign our family could move forward, however slowly. As the reception ended, the sunset bathed the Fairmont Hotel, and I watched Emily and Ryan beaming among friends. I knew that, despite the painful journey, it had brought us to a better place, a place where truth was honored, and family love began to heal. Emily's wedding became a cherished memory, but our family's journey didn't end there. In the months following, Emily and I kept rebuilding our father-daughter bond, step by step. With Claire, things were more complex. She started therapy, as she'd mentioned at the wedding, but change didn't happen overnight. Some days she called, her voice full of regret, asking about my work or my parents' health, as if trying to mend our broken connection. But other days, she slipped back into old habits, blaming me for making her look bad in the family's eyes. I learned to set boundaries, something I'd never done before. I made it clear to Claire that I was open to giving her a chance. "We can't go back to how things were," I said during a conversation at home, "but we can build something new, if we both try." She nodded, silent, and for the first time I saw a hint of sincerity in her eyes. The story of David Miller and we all agreed. "You're not welcome at the wedding," my wife said, reflects the complex and common family issues in today's American society, where manipulation, lack of communication, and pressure from major events like weddings can fracture close relationships. Set in modern Seattle, the story vividly illustrates how David was excluded from his daughter Emily's wedding by his wife, Claire, through fake texts and spreading lies, a behavior that mirrors communication breakdowns in the digital age. Emily's silence in the face of her mother's manipulation, and David's father, John's, avoidance highlight a tendency in American culture to opt for temporary peace over direct confrontation. The family meeting, where David presented evidence like fake texts and $17,000 in receipts, underscores the importance of transparency and accountability, a core value in healthy American relationships. Claire's small admission of fault at the wedding, though not a full apology, and her decision to enter therapy reflect a growing trend in the U.S., seeking therapy to address personal and family issues. Lesson learned: in modern American life, prioritize honest communication and set clear boundaries to protect your self-worth. From David, we learn that gathering evidence, like texts and receipts, and holding an open dialogue, like the family meeting at Aunt Laura's, can break the cycle of manipulation. Follow Emily's example, who apologized and made amends, to cherish important relationships before it's too late. Especially like Claire, embracing therapy is a brave step toward change, aligning with today's American culture, where mental health is increasingly valued. Finally, remember, as David did when walking Emily down the aisle, love and patience can heal deep wounds, but only if we dare to face the truth. Please like and subscribe to explore more stories of family love and healing, like my journey with Emily. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video with new lessons from the heart.